New World Order, you underestimated the people. You took a gamble and you lost.
Okay, we don't like this. Okay, well then we're going to do this. And that is just how it's going to be.
Evidence brought to light that there is a corrupt officer, or that officer did shoot that kid on purpose.
I don't care how I look, I don't care how I sound, I don't care what the beat is. I just care the message gets across.
Hello! This is the Tin Man with the Resistance. If you are watching this, you are the Resistance. Funny thing, isn't it? Now I'm going to talk about economics. Now, where I'm living, one of the people I live with watches a guy called Pastor Bailey. He's a pastor who focuses on end day news. You know, the end of times shit. You know, anything that pertains to the biblical end of days, or that he feels relates to it. And the other day he was talking about economics and an issue that's going on in some country. I forget what country it is. But their economy is tanked so fucking bad that it's $170 for a hamburger. Now that got me thinking. We have, what, an $19 trillion deficit right now? I forget what the exact figures are to date, but we're pretty bad in the hole in the United States. Now, at $24 trillion, I should say, the United States becomes a greased nation. We are just as fucked as this other country, if not more so. Now, there's a few elements that need to be discussed here. One, if you don't want this to happen, as Conspiracy Anon has said many, many times, let's get off our asses and do something about it! Damn! You know, I know a lot of people, you know, they're scared, they don't want to die, blah, 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 but you know what? Think of it in terms of Nazi Germany. Had the Jews stood up, yeah, a few of them would have died, but you know what? There wouldn't have been a Holocaust. Same here. It's not that different in circumstances. And other people are lazy and complacent, just don't want to get out and do anything. And then you have the Christian community who says, okay, well, this is the end times. There's nothing you can do about it. Granted, that may be the case, depending on what you believe, you know, I'm not going to get into that. But, regardless of whether it is or it isn't, there's an old saying, the only means necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Now, what does that mean? Well, it relates to another saying. It's called, if you're not a part of the solution, you are part of the problem. And if you're still not with me on this, what I'm saying, and listen very carefully, if you are not willing to stand against evil and let evil run amok, you are just as bad as evil, because you are not willing to stand against it. You are letting it happen. Let's use an example here. A burglar breaks into your house and tries to rape your wife. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to try to stop the burglar? Or are you just going to let it happen? Naturally, most of us would say we're going to try to stop that burglar from raping our wife. How is that any different than what's going on in the world? The globalists are raping us and we're letting them. Okay? They're raping our families, they're raping our wallets, they're raping our jobs, they're raping us and the people we love on every fucking level. So why aren't we stopping it? Okay? Going back to the burglar thing. If you just sat back and let the burglar rape your wife, most people would agree that you are a bad person for allowing that to happen. And so it is in the aspect of globalist tyranny. If you allow it to happen, you're just as bad as the people who are orchestrating it in the first place. Like V said in V for Vendetta, I know why you did it. You were scared. You let it happen. Blah, blah, blah. And he says some are more guilty than others, but if you want to know who the real guilty parties are, you need to only look in a mirror. So on and so forth. I didn't really say that in order or even the exact way V said it, but you get the overall gist, okay? If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you're not willing to do anything about the problem and just let evil run amok, then you're just as bad as the orchestrators of these evil plots, regardless of the circumstance. Now, another aspect that needs to be explored is, will the United States and other major countries like Europe, Canada, and so forth wind up being greased nations and face economic collapse? That's a good question to ask, and we really need to think about this. If the economy totally collapses in these countries, everything essentially goes to shit. Which is pretty much what the globalists want, but on the flip side of that, if the world economy totally collapses, their wealth is meaningless as well. So you have to figure out how they're going to delegate this. How are they going to totally fuck the people economically on a global scale without in turn sticking a dick in their own ass? Now, they have a great majority of the world's gold and silver and diamond deposits, but with costs being so high, like $170 for a hamburger, they're going to go through gold quite quickly, and they're going to eventually diminish their wealth as far as that's concerned. Now, granted, they've got this in great abundance, so they're probably not going to wind up spending all of it before they establish a new economic monetary system. But still, they'd probably be substantially poorer. They would have expensed, is that the right word? Sorry, it's still early in the morning. They would have used a great deal of their gold in order to keep themselves going until they set up this new system. So you gotta figure out exactly what their game plan is and cut them off at the pass. Now, I've said it before, why has nobody killed David Rockefeller? And I pointed out, you don't necessarily need to kill these people. Myself and Conspiracy Anon and others have even pointed out that you could hack into these people's bank accounts and just completely disappear their money. You can collapse their businesses. Granted, that would put a lot of people out of their jobs, but as far as like personal accounts go, you can hit them hard and it'd do a great deal of damage. Somebody could go in and start disappearing gold out of these people's warehouses. No money in the bank account, no gold to back themselves with. What are they? They're nobodies. And even on a legal standpoint, if you could find a district attorney brave enough to prosecute, and a judge who's not willing to be bought off to where you could actually have legitimate legal proceedings, you could prosecute these motherfuckers. So if someone, say an anonymous, were to hack these people's bank accounts and disappear their money, they wouldn't have the money to pay top-notch attorneys to save their ass. Because even if it's reported that it was fraudulently based, then the money would still be on hold because of the investigation. So they wouldn't be able to utilize any of their financial resources, which gives you a better opportunity to have legitimate legal proceedings to investigate and prosecute these globalist criminals. You just got to be willing to do it. At which point, you can get legitimate people into political office. And you can start making a positive change. You know, I don't have all the answers and I don't have all the resources. I do what I can, where I can. I am limited on my resources. I'll be perfectly honest. But if I have an idea, I'll throw it out there, and if somebody has the capability to run that ball where I don't, then more power to them. And that's not to say I'm just going to talk and sit on my ass. No, I'm out there. I'm at the protests with you guys. I'm signing the petitions. I'm a registered voter. I stand with you on every aspect. I can't do it all. And I don't have the means to do it all. I do what I can where I can. And that's all we can ever ask of each other, is to do what we can where we can. And if somebody has the resources, like, I'm not a hacker. I couldn't hack to save my fucking life. But there are hackers out there. So if somebody is a hacker, especially in the Anonymous Collective, who wants to go, hey, let's fuck the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and so forth. Yep. Bye-bye fortune in your bank account. Bye-bye bank account. Oh, Mr. District Attorney, you're willing to prosecute the globalists. Oh, hey, Mr. District Judge, you're willing to hear this case, and you can't be bought up. You got a good track record. Let's roll. Hey, I'm not a judge. I'm not a district attorney. I'm not a hacker. But there are people out there who are. So let's utilize these resources. Let's do something. Not everybody who's a judge or a lawyer is corrupt. Granted, most are, but there are a few good people out there. There are a few honest Americans out there. And honest, decent human beings out there. Let's do something about it. Dim Man out.